Welcome to another edition of the Get Made podcast. We're going to jump into it today. First, let me give a sponsor shout out to InStyle Skin, where glowing and healthy skin is always in style. We have a QR code on the site. Go check them out. There's a 30% off coupon good into April 10th. Go on and get some of the things and let them know the Get Made podcast sent you. So, jumping into this week podcast, I want to talk about a couple of things. And the two things I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding about is being reactionary or reacting to something, and responding. And this is going to follow up from a podcast I did several episodes ago dealing with emotional deregulation, right? And so when we look at responding and reacting, in some instances, we might believe that one is better than the other, right? That responding to a situation and or reacting to responding is good, and reacting is something, because we always think of a person being reactionary, being emotional, not being able to control themselves and things of nature there. And that may be true. That is true indeed. But a person who responds to something may be viewed as being a little bit more calm, cool, and collective, not being rattled or shook, something along those lines there. And that sounds good too. But both of them have an opposite effect, right? And let's start with reactionary first, being reactionary first. There needs to be a certain amount of reaction that takes place. And a lot of times we looking at men who are reactionary, sometimes we think they soft, they weak, they cry babies, or something's wrong with them, right? Because they wear their emotions on their sleeve. Now, okay, there has to be some emotional regulation there, right? But having a reaction to something can also be a good thing. Overreacting is the issue, right? So I want to make sure that we're clear about that. Overreacting is the issue. So let's look at a reaction. A man comes home, his wife tell him, "Baby, I got some good news for you." And he said, "Okay, baby, what's the news?" "I'm pregnant." And he's like, "Oh my God, that's great news." He grabs her, he hugs her, he might spin her around, he does all these type of things here. That's a reaction, right? Because something was said, right? And that's not a bad thing. But let's say the same husband and wife. He comes home, she says, "You know what? You didn't pay the bill this week. They came out here. They's gonna try to cut off our gas. They's gonna do this and do this and do this. And you just a sorry guy. You don't do this and you don't do this." And then he just throw his stuff down on the ground and he's just start yelling and going off and talking. "You ain't gonna talk to me this way. You ain't gonna do this. You ain't gonna do that." And he just start blowing off the top and everything, right? And we know that that person here is just being very emotional, right? He may even feel he's been provoked to be emotional, right? But nevertheless, he's emotional. And I know some women have a huge problem with that word provoke, right? And okay, I get it, because no one wants to feel like, well, you're supposed to be in control of yourself. You're supposed to be managing yourself. All right, let's just, you know, they even have a poke sign on the social media on Facebook, right? Where you poke somebody, you just poke them, saying, you're saying hi. So poking is something real because they're looking for a response or reaction from you when you get poked, right? So that person there then, or he may be in a discussion and he gets heated very quickly. It doesn't really require him to be going off. He just emotional. He's yelling at the top of his lungs. He's flaring his arms around. He's pacing all through the house, and he's doing this, and he's doing that. Right? That person is overreacting to a situation. He, at this point, has lack of impulse control, right? Because when you overreact, that's what you really are talking about. A person not having impulse control. They're not emotionally regulated, right? So let's go to the other side. She comes home, he comes home, same guy comes home, we'll use the same scenarios. He comes home, his wife says, "Sweetheart, I'm pregnant." And his response is, "Wow, okay, that's what's up." And then keep it moving, right? He just walks through the house. He just got some good news. He said, "Oh, okay, that's what's up." And keep it moving, right? This person hearing this, she looking at him like, "Dang, bro, I just told you, I'm having your baby. And only thing you can do is, oh, yeah, that's what's up. That's all you can say. I'm getting ready to carry your child. And that's all you can say, right?" But then let's go to the other scenario. Man comes home. Wife says, "The gas man came. He's going to cut off the gas. He's talking about cutting off our gas. I talked him out of it. Went on and paid the bill on that. But you're supposed to be paying these bills. You're supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be doing that." And instead of him doing what I said the last guy did, then here he comes and says, "Okay, wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up. Before we just get a little too far gone, my apologies. I actually forgot when you told me to do it because I was doing something else and it slipped my mind, right? And I want you to know now because I even had it ready to go on our computer. If you go to the computer, you'll see that it was already up, ready to go. And then my attention got called to something else. And I just clearly forgot, you know, I apologize, because I definitely don't want my family to be without any gas, right? We gotta need hot water. I need my family to be comfortable. See, now he's responding to because he's giving an explanation. He's being cool. He's being collective. He's giving a response to a very heated situation, right? Now, there's a difference in between how he showed up and how the other person showed up with the so-called response, right? The other person, he probably is not a person who is rattle easy. He doesn't get overexcited about things or whatever. And so he come on. But for the moment, he needed to show some type of enthusiasm, right? He needs to be enthusiastic about this. This is some great news. They're having a child. Maybe it's their first child. Maybe she already know that. Hey, she had the test. She looked at the ultrasound. It's a boy, right? Maybe they've been trying to be pregnant before, and she never could get pregnant. There could be a multitude of things that makes her happy or gives her joy about this situation, and he just snatched her joy, smashed her joy, right? He just smashed her joy, right? And so this person, but he's trying to say, well, my personality is not one to get overexcited. I don't take my highs too high, my lows too low, right? We've heard people say that before, right? But in that, he should be able to at least exhibit something that looks like some enthusiasm, right? Some joy, some glee, whatever the word you want to use, right? He should be in that position. Here's why sometimes we get these two words crossed up, because some people are truly emotional, emotionally deregulated. I would go as far as saying that person in his response, this cool, calm, collective guy in the first response, he's also emotionally deregulated, right? Because the emotional deregulating doesn't necessarily always mean that a person just got to be going over the top. He got to be all this. He has to be that. Some people can be emotionally deregulated and just be monotone. Like they just have this straight face, straight talk, and that's all they do, right? Some people may hear their wives being calling them, and they're like, "Oh God, I'm not going to that." That's a reaction, right? Or he may say, "All right, dear, I'm coming. I'll be there in a minute," right? Well, you need to come right now. I ain't gonna sit here and keep waiting on you and all this old type of stuff here. Okay, sweetheart, I said I'm coming. I'm actually trying to tighten up this bedpost in the bedroom or whatever he might be doing, right? He gave a short, crisp explanation of what's taking place, right? And so here we are looking at these two words, reactionary and response. Which one are you? Where do you sit in the middle, my brothers? We're talking about straightening the crown of our brothers today. Where do you sit in the middle? And you need to be honest with yourself, because if you are a person who gets very hyper when anything is being said, I know some people who get good news and they go to doing extra cartwheels. It's like that. Oh yeah, wow, yeah. They can't even control themselves. They can't. That person is overreacting to a situation, even though it's a happy and joyous situation. They have taken it too far, right? It doesn't always have to be a situation where a person is upset or blowing a lid that way. The person can actually be very, very happy about a situation and just take the thing too far, you know. Or somebody say something to him and he is ultra sensitive. He's extra sensitive. And man, you probably could say, dang, why are you telling me I had to say it different? What you saying? I don't know how to talk. What's the problem? Oh, it always got to be a problem with you, brother. It always got to be this. Bro, I just said lower your tone. That's all, people in here reading, people in here trying to sleep, people trying to rest. Why you got to be so upset, right? And so some of that too, it's going to be real with you. Some of that too is because they experienced something in their life that then has them on the ropes or has them on the fringes all the time. And what you would need to be able to do, I want to give some points of what you can do with that. One, get you some help, right? If somebody's coming to you saying something about that and you don't know how to quite dial it down yourself, well, maybe you might need to go get you some help, right? And it's okay to go get you some help. Now I know somebody gonna say, man, they're gonna tell me I need to go get some help. You already the person I'm talking to. Keep it 100. If your wife and you and your wife are sitting down and listening to this podcast right now, and she looking at you sideways and not trying to, because she know you will overreact. If she starts saying, yeah, man, this is you, man, he talking about you. She know that she can't really say anything, but she cutting the eye over at you. I know y'all can't see me cutting. I'm trying to move my head so you can see them cutting my eyes, right? She cutting your eye at you. She looking at you, and but she ain't really saying nothing. Know that this is you and this is her experience with you. right? You may not believe that about yourself, but know that this is the experience that she's having with you. And if this experience is too frequent, right? It's like every time something happens, we talking about the absolute, I guess, at this point. You talk about when it happens, then this is the person you become. You are a prime candidate for some help. Yes, you are. You're a prime candidate for some help, right? Now, if you are the person who responds the way that we talked about responding earlier, she might be looking at your side eye again too, right? Still that same side eye. Say, well, why are you looking at me? Well, baby, that's you. You seem like you ain't never happy about nothing. But you mean I'm not happy about nothing? And I mean, I'm always happy about something. I'm a happy person, right? That tone right there, you're not a happy person, right? And well, you know what? It don't even matter. It's just gonna be, you got a right to think what you want to think, right? You too may need to be able to go get some help. Why? Because you at this point are a person who, in some instance, you're probably boring, right? You're probably boring because you show no movement. There's no inflection in you. There's nothing else up and down in you. Always monotone. You always going one way. Some people like to say, well, I'm like that because I'm an introvert. They always use that word introvert. I'm because I'm an introvert. Look, that's an excuse. All right. You ain't got to be jumping all over the place and doing all that just to be, to enjoy yourself or to be social, right? We are talking about having some type of social aspect about yourself, right? And so if you are this person and you want to learn how to, let your hair down just a little bit, and have a little fun, right? Get you some help. We actually got some help for you. I actually got some help for you, right? Y'all can hit me on the inbox. If either one of these things, y'all can hit me on the inbox. Say, hey, look, brother Hassan, something that you talked about today. I want to see about myself and being what looks like emotionally deregulated. And we can have some discussions. We can kind of do some assessments. And if you're willing to work with me, we probably can do that. But I'm not the only one that can give you the help. If you choose to get some help from somewhere else, by all means, please do so. But I am saying that either one of them doing it either way on the extremes can actually wind up having you lose your wife. And that's what we're talking about here. Another way a person can be very reactive if every time you're always blaming somebody for something. That's a reactionary response. Blaming somebody, right? Yeah. Well, you always doing this, or accusations, always accusing somebody. That's a reactionary response because let's say reactionary response. That is a reactionary thing. And one of the things that you want to make sure that you do not do, right? And whatever it is that you got going on, is not be overreactionary and have a undertone response, right? So those are the two things that we want to look at today, and look at moving forward. Not having this undertone response, or under responding and overreacting, right? Those are the two spaces that we want to make sure that we stay in between. Where we need to be is in the middle. We need to be balanced out. We need to have some balance, some balance of who we are. And you can do that. Anyone can be taught this. Don't never, don't go for the whole old adage. What is it? Can't teach an old dog new tricks. As long as you are living, you can learn to do something different. You can learn to give someone a different experience. If you don't do this, if you can't do this, know that you are in jeopardy of losing your family, losing your wife, or whatever, because they can't take it. They won't be able to take it, right? And I know for myself, I've been in spaces. I may not been the person who under respond, but I know I've been in spaces where I've overreacted, right? So I know that was me, and I had to get me some help about that because sometimes I would literally, and what we call in some of that is anger management. Got anger issues or whatever. When you kind of overreacting, those are some of the spaces that you may be in. Like you might have some anger issues. You may not be able to control yourself and control your impulses. There may have been some things that you may have been treated a particular way, and told yourself, "I'm never going to be treated like that." So then you become hyper vigilant about different things or whatnot. Those are kind of chaotic and corrosive situations, right? So we want to make sure that this is, as men, this is where we're not, because we have to be balanced, because we are going to be the ones who help balance everybody else out. Believe me, they always say, how the woman is in the house, so is the house. No, let a man walk in and he had a hard day and he's snapping. Everybody in the house would get quiet. Everybody in the house would go to their rooms, try to get away from him, because he is a time bomb ticking. He is liable to blow at any time. Now, I'm not saying he's going around hitting his people or doing this and doing that, but the verbal assault or the nonverbals are so bad and amount to high abuse, because at some point it becomes intentional. A person who, they lose control, but they lose control based upon some intentionality, right? They become that stuff, it becomes intentional. And so the more intentional thing to do is to balance yourself out. Even if you come in the house, look, kind of had a hard day, give me about 15, 30 minutes. Let me decompress a little bit. Let me go up here and take me a shower, get these clothes off, do whatever. And then, I want to come and give everybody hugs, everybody kisses, everybody, we're going to all sit down, we're going to eat dinner, we're going to have a nice time together. Give me a moment. That's you taking responsibility and accountability for who you are and where you are, right? That's you taking accountability. And so, therefore, you're not overreacting to a situation, right? And I know earlier I called that, you know, person having some super feminine qualities, right? I said that a little earlier. You go back to maybe my second, third episode, you see that that's what I was talking about in that. Men really exhibiting some super feminine qualities, right? And again, that's not me just talking about women, all right? So sisters, I'm not really sitting here putting you on blast like that, talking about, you just kind of overreact or you do this and you do that. But, there's energy that's being pushed out here, right? There's energy. And when we look at it from an operational defined view, there's a masculine energy, then there's a feminine energy, right? And some men who then have not been taught a proper way on how to deal with situations, one with super feminine energy. And that's when the overreacting and stuff start taking place. Or they be so cold because they even seen their moms be cold, right? Keeping this 100. They seen their mom shut down And when they see mom shut down, oh shit, somebody gonna be in trouble. Let me get out the way. Because mom start, y'all know how the mothers get, man, when they done got that face, and it's like, that resting face, and it ain't a pleasant one. She looking at you like she could look right through you, like she could stare right through you, and it just be cold. That's how some men act, because they learned that from their mothers, or they learned it from some woman. More likely is their mother. That's a super feminine energy, right? So we have to be a little bit more balanced in that as men. We have to then know how to react to a situation, give it its proper due, and respond to a situation and give it its proper due, right? So, with that, in this segment of the Get Made podcast, I thank everyone for being here today. Of course, you can find me on Instagram at the official House and Clay, on YouTube or the Get Made podcast channel, and also here on Facebook at House and Clay. I thank you again. Check out that coupon code for 30% off with In Style Skin, and we're gonna see you next week.